how would you like a little bonus tutorial showing you how to use the Stamp-A-Majig? When we went through and we made this card, this is one likeness of the card. And here is a second likeness of the card. And I'll tell you right away that when I'm doing two-step stamping, as we've done here, that I'm, for the most part, not really all that fussy making sure that everything lines up exactly right. I think it's part of the creativity, but I know there's others of you out there that really would like those two to match up. So here's a little bonus tutorial using that stamp set, which would have this image on one side and then the solid image on the other, and getting them to line up exactly right. All of you probably know I'm hauling out the handy dandy's trusty gadget called the Stamp-A-Majig. You can order this through your demonstrator, and we'd love to get it to your front door for you. I've also laid out here a piece of vellum. This is how I do the Stamp-A-Majig. I cut out a little piece of vellum, the cardstock vellum, by the way. We have the two kinds of vellum. I like the cardstock vellum. Line that vellum up in the corner of your Stamp-A-Majig. Now I'm right-handed, so I like to hold my Stamp-A-Majig with my left hand and use my right hand to guide my paper. Here is a little piece of white that I'm going to stamp on. So I'm stamping that first, the solid image, in the Baja Breeze cardstock. All right? Now I'm going to turn it around and do things from your view. So I'm turning it around this way. So this would be to my left, and this is on my right. Okay? Now I need to make the solid image show up right over top of this guy. So what I'm going to do, I lined up my vellum into my Stamp-A-Majig. I ink up my stamp. You could really use any color, but because I'm going to use Not Quite Navy, I inked it up in Not Quite Navy. Line the top corner here with the corner of your Stamp-A-Majig. And make sure the whole business does not move. Shouldn't be too difficult if you're doing it from your own direction, but I'm trying to do it for you, so that makes it a little more difficult. And you end up with an image that looks like that. Next step then is to line up and line those two images up. Now you'll notice that the vellum isn't necessarily square with my Whisper White. Does it have to be? Absolutely not. If I square up my vellum with my white, notice how off I would be. So your white necessarily will not, you're squaring up this vellum then with the Stamp-A-Majig, which will then in turn have you stamping in the correct position. Notice also that when I have a small white piece of paper like that, trying to get that white to not move and keep my Stamp-A-Majig all in the right place isn't so easy. So what I tend to do is stick my piece of white down to my work surface. That way that guy is not going anywhere. Now I'm going to put down my piece of vellum. I like him right there. That would be perfect. I'm going to set my stamp in my ink him up good. Put my vellum on there really good. Corner up my Stamp-A-Majig. Pull away my vellum. Corner up my stamp, and hopefully through magic it'll be lined up. Hey, I didn't do an all bad job. I hope that's inspiring for you and gets you out using your two-step stamping and doing a great job. Either way you like it, perfect with the Stamp-A-Majig, or just randomly the way I did it the very first time is a-okay either way. Have an awesome day.